Greetings. Welcome back to another episode of Neon B TV, and this is going to be Truth TV. And I'm going to. I'm not sure if you've been watching my feed lately, but either I'm talking about spirituality and growth, my art. Check out NRWBarts, or I've been talking about somebody been doing me dirty and needs to be exposed for who they are. This has been going on for a year and a half, and to my knowledge. But it's actually been going on for 33 years to hers. Um, so I will preface this that I had a lot of childhood trauma when I was young. My dad and my dad's side of the family, they had drug abuse problems. And I used to spend the weekends over there while he hid his drug abuse from my mom and told me and my sister to hide everything from my mom. So over there at that house where drugs were rampant in the party house, I went through a lot of fucking trauma. So when I was 14, we moved to the suburbs of Philadelphia, and I really just locked up all those memories and tried to throw them in the trash. But they are definitely in my subconscious, as well as pains in my soul that I took, not memories, but all the pain with me. But I threw away all these childhood memories, and they were wrapped up in good memories and bad memories, and this is one of these good memories that I threw away unknowingly. So about a year and a half ago, I randomly get hit up about a position opening at the Leon Sullivan Trust. They are looking for an executive director. It's going to be the first executive director ever because the trust has always been run by a board and without an executive director. So I was told that I was up for this position because I work so hard in the community as I do volunteer work for the Uptown Theater. And been doing that for years. And I somehow I was recommended for this position at the trust, and I was like, oh, wonderful. But it was funny because a month and a half before that, I got my Akashic records read. If you don't know what the Akashic records are, you can Google it. And it said that this lifetime, part of my destiny was to run a building. So it was so funny that this position came with a building. And I was like, oh, that's my destiny. Oh, I get it. This is so funny. Everything's just working out just like the Akashic Records said. Wonderful. So I'm just going to I ain't got to do nothing. I'm just going to sit back and chill. This is already my destiny. I'm just chilling then. So I meet with the chair of the board, which I do know and do remember at that time that she was friends with my grandmother. And I used to love this woman so much because she was so beautiful and she was so funny and she had a great job, and I thought that's all life was supposed to be. And she used to actually come into my grandmom's copy shop very often. And she would sit there and laugh with my grandmom and her business partner, and I would be behind the partition doing my homework, and she wouldn't know that I was there. So she would come in and laugh and make tell jokes about people at the trust and at the church, and I have a dark sense of humor, so to me it was funny. I was dying. I was like, oh, I love this lady. So. But to my grandma would often have to tell her to stop being so vulgar because my granddaughter's back there listening to you. But I thought it was hilarious. I got dark humor too, so I thought it was hilarious. I love her. I want to be like her when I grow up. So, yes. So I met this woman and we had dinner at her favorite Olive Garden on City Line Avenue. So we go in. There's a little miscommunications and things, but we go and we meet each other, and she said, yes, I was talking to Linda Richardson, may she rest in peace, which is crazy because I'm going to tell you about that as well. So I met with Linda Richardson, and she said she recommended you for this position to take over the Leon Sullivan Trust. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing. I was like, I know I've been doing good at the, or I was doing good at the time, at the Uptown Theater, but okay, that's what's up. You guys are getting new young energy in there. That's what's up. They're really starting to pass the torch to the next generation. I love that. I'm so down for it because I've been fighting for black liberation my entire life as my mother raised me that way. So I was like, yes, this sounds wonderful. And she was like, well, tell me what you know about the Leon Sullivan Trust. Tell me what you know about Leon Sullivan. And I told her all the things that I, at the time, had researched online being prepared for this interview. And she was like, wow, you really don't know anything else about it? She was like, I'm surprised. I was like, oh, well, I do know, and I know some other things as well. And she was like, oh, but you don't know, you're not familiar with the situation. I was like, oh, no, this, came to me through Linda, and that's pretty much it. And she was like, oh, okay. Things got very awkward. The whole thing was awkward. So she's like, okay, well, I would like to hire you, but it's a whole board decision, and the board, they are, not, as easy as I am, because I want to hire you. I would love to give my friend's granddaughter the trust, because I know it would be in good hands, because you're family. And I was like, oh yeah, so wonderful. And then I'm thinking to myself, this is what my destiny said. So everything's fine. So wonderful. No, and so see you all later, and I follow up 2 months later, and then she tells me that the board is thinking about going with another person. So I'm like, that feels off to me, because my Akashic record said I was running a building, and it's probably the building, and all this is coming together, so this feels off to me. So I sit there and I meditate, and I will tell you, I am the poorest person to sitting still and getting my mind still long enough to do a deep meditation. But that one time, I did this deep meditation, and I went back to a piece of my childhood that I had forgotten. So, when I was 6 years old, I met Mr. Leon. I don't know if I did that. I met Mr. Leon because I spent the summer or a couple weeks at my grandfather's office at 16th and Erie. My grandfather was the first black optometrist in the whole city of Philadelphia. And my grandmother was a businesswoman, as well as she was Miss Sepia Philadelphia, which is when back in the day there was, the black people pageants, the white people pageants, and then the mixed people pageants. So she was mixed back in the day, in the 40s probably. So my grandparents were always around prestigious people and very powerful people. And I got to grow up around powerful people. So when I was 6, I spent the whole, some time at my grandfather's office, and every day around 12 o'clock, some tall, light-skinned man would come in and hang out with my grandfather. After a while, me and the tall man would talk, and I realized, and he told me his name was Leon. So I called him Mr. Leon. So me and Mr. Leon would talk. Every time my grandfather had a client, then me and Mr. Leon would talk. And then the client would go away, and then I would go away. And he and I would talk about all types of philosophies. I was just as deep as a child as I am now. And I told him that I was being raised without religion. And I also told him that Jesus was fake. And then when I grow up, I'm going to tell the entire world that Jesus is fake. And he said, would you even do that? I was like, they'll have some internet thing going on by that time, and I will just keep telling people Jesus is fake. And he said, Nyambi, you know what? You're right. Jesus is fake. And because you're the only person that knows it that I know, you're the smartest person that I know, even though you're 6 years old. And I said, Mr. Leon, there's no way I could be the smartest person. I'm only 6 years old. He's like, no, Nyambi, you're the smartest person I know, and you're 6 years old. And I was like, get out of here, guy. You're funny. And client came back, and I would go away. So this happened for weeks. Me and Mr. Leon would bust it up and have great conversation. And like that summer, he really became like my best friend because I really couldn't have deep conversation just like now. Can't have deep conversation with people that are not deep. So me and Mr. Leon busted up all summer of my 6-year-old summer. And then when I was 7, my grandparents had a dinner party. And at this dinner party, all their influential and powerful friends came over, and I loved my grandparents' dinner parties because everybody would be laughing and having a good time, and I would talk to the most amazing, intelligent people. So, at this dinner party, my mom was like, "Oh, Grandma's having a dinner party. You want to go? Halima's not going." I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to go. Maybe Mr. Leon will be there. I'm going to hang out with my friends. Yeah, I'm going." So I go over there by myself. Usually my sister was with me. And I'm helping my grandma set up for the dinner party. And I remember that in the kitchen that she and Mabel were talking. And Mabel said, "Leon's going to be choosing a chair of the board soon, and I hope it's going to be me. But I'm a little concerned because I don't have the skills and, the background for the position. But, I want it so bad." And my grandma was like, "Oh, he should give it to you. You've been so supportive. You've had his back all this time. He should totally give it to you." She was like, "Yeah, I really want it, but I'm scared that he's going to give it to somebody else because they have more experience than I do." And she was like, "No. Leon should give it to you. She'll probably give it to you." And then they walk off, and I continue to do whatever I was doing in the kitchen. So the party goes on and on. And then I running around, and me and Mr. Leon and my grandfather called me over to the corner of this table, actually. That's why I use this table. The corner of this table, and not at this house, but at their old house. Anyway, and there's my grandpa was like, "Do you have any idea who this man is?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's Mr. Leon. He's one of my best friends." I love talking to Mr. Leon. We actually have deep conversation. I love talking to Mr. Leon. And he was like, "Yo, this man is so important and powerful." And I was like, "Oh, really?" My little Mr. Leon. He was like, "Yes, he trains people to get good jobs, Leon." And Mr. Leon was like, "Yes, I have an international program that helps people, trains people so they can get good jobs and feed their families." And I said, "My mama told me that a wage pay is slave pay. And you ain't never gonna get rich off a slave salary. If I had the money, I would train people to open up their own businesses." And Mr. Leon said, "Nyambi, again, you are the smartest person I know." He was like, "Are you going to move? Are you going to leave Philadelphia when you get older?" I was like, "I don't think so. I ain't going to New York. I ain't going any more colder than that. And going south, I'm not going to D.C. because of the politics and bullshit." Oh, I didn't say cuss back then, but I'm not going Atlanta because not enough straight men. And I can't see myself going west. I'll probably stay in Philly or whatever and just travel a lot from Philly. And he was like, "Do you want a job when you grow up?" I was like, "Yeah, sure. I'll take a job when I grow up. Yeah." And he was like, "You got a job when you grow up, Nyambi." I was like, "Oh my God, I got a job." And I asked Pop-Pop, I was like, "Pop-Pop, is it a good job?" He was like, "Nyambi is the best job." I was like, "Okay, yes, I'll take this job. Thank you, Mr. Leon." And Mr. Leon gets up and he calls Mabel from the other side of the room and said, "Mabel, come here." And Mabel came over and he said, "Mabel, when this little girl grows up, I want you to make sure that you give her the trust." And Mabel was like, "Why are you telling me?" And he said, "If you promise me here tonight, when this little girl grows up, you will give her the trust that I will make you chair of the board without putting the application out and opening it up to anyone else." And Mabel was like, oh my God, I'm chair the board. I'm chair the board. I'm chair the board. I'm going to be chair the board. I'm chair the board. Not caring what the heck she's agreeing to. I'm chair the board. I'm chair the board. Oh my God, I want to be chair the board so bad. Oh my God, oh my God. So after all this dies down, they have a toast to our appointments. Toast, toast, toast. Everybody's cheering, da 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 da. Finally, Mabel comes and tells me, and comes and talks to me, say, okay, come on, who are you? And I'm like, I'm your friend's granddaughter. He was like, I'm Nyambi Regina. At the time, his last name was Brown, but I would say that's my mother's ex-husband's name that I've never met. My mom's maiden name is King, and my father's name is Wise. So, Nyambi Regina Wise King is who I be. Anyway, so she was like, tell me who you are. She was like, somehow I will find you when you grow up. Somehow I will find you when you grow up. Keep on learn as much business as you can. Learn as much, do as much as community development as you can. Learn as much real estate as you can. And when you grow up, I will find you. And then I was like, oh my gosh, like this got to be a contract. I was always a little business girl. I was like, there's got to be a contract. So Leon and Mabel wrote a contract on a napkin or an invite or some type of card. They both signed it and dated it. She probably threw it in the trash by now, but it's a contract. And if you want to hook me up to the lie detector test, I will do that happily. She needs to be looked up to the lie detector test as well. So, then me and Mabel, after that, she said, okay, you're going to have to make me remember. Because I'm not going to remember so many years later. I'm not going to remember. You harass me until I remember. Keep on harassing me until I do my job. Keep on harassing me until I do my job. So everybody's happy, and then she said, yo, just don't ever get into a career. Keep getting contract jobs, and then when the time comes, I will come find you and give you the trust. Coincidentally, I have been doing contract work for the last 10 years. So I have fulfilled everything on my side of this bargain, of this deal between myself and Mr. Leon. The decision was never Mabel's. The decision had nothing to do with Mabel. She was just an administrator between the deal between me and Mr. Leon. So, she told me to just make me remember. And the last thing out of that night, I saw her walking out of my grandpa's house. Saying, make me remember, make me remember, make me remember. So after this meditation, where all these memories came back, I start on the email. Mabel, no, I remember. I need to make you remember. I'm trying to make you remember. I'm trying to make you remember. I'm trying to make you remember. You said, you promised that you would give me the trust when I grew up. You promised in front of all those people. They're all dead now. You promised to give me the trust. And then one email got blocked. Even my email address got blocked. So I went to the other email address. Mabel, you gotta give me the trust. Yo, if you don't, it's gonna be hell for you. This is your promise. You promised. This is the 33 years of your life that you have given to this promise. For you to break it, it's going to be hell for you. Do not break this promise. My second email was blocked. And I'd let this go for so long, just thinking that she would actually just do the right thing. I went into my painting world. Made a business. Made a successful business. Dope as shit. And then just, tried to, COVID's going on. she's not going to, take on an executive director now. COVID's happening. They're probably not getting their rent because COVID's happening. Everybody's home, and there's a whole big financial problem over at the trust, and she can't bring me on right now because, there's financial problems at the trust because of COVID. And I'm like, yo, this is taking too long. This is taking too long, and she's not getting back to me. So I started up maybe last week another fuss about what the fuck is going on. Mabel, where the fuck is you at? You made a fucking promise. You owe me the last 33 years of your life. Because Mr. Leon would have definitely went and got somebody that was more qualified to run the trust. And I'm sure they would have probably run it more efficiently. Because I have seen what has happened since then. Equatorial Guinea, come on, etc. So, now I'm blocked. Now she has stolen the trust from me and hired someone else. Whatever Mr. Leon probably left for me in some safety deposit box, she done stole. She stole my job, she stole my money, and she stole my destiny. I keep hitting her up. She ignores me and blocks me. So at this point, we're just going on to social media and sharing with the world. Like I share everything with the world most of the time. All my healing I had shared with the world. And I kept quiet about this for a year and a half. So, I hope you are, happy that everybody sees the level of honor and integrity that you have. And it's a shame that I have to do this because you have no loyalty as well as no integrity. So, I don't even want to be associated with you all at this point. All I want is IFESH, the International Foundation for Education and Self-Help. Right up my alley. I think Mr. Leon actually created that for me. I want my salary that Mr. Leon promised me and you promised to give me. And I want whatever other stuff, cash, prizes Mr. Leon left me. And then I will run IFESH by myself and we never have to speak again. I cannot believe that you sat there and lied to everyone for 32 years, 33 years. That is your judgment.